Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today. At Acasis, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit Acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.
It is the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. Happy Friday to you. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeping us on the air as he does 5 days a week, live on YouTube and then wherever you get your podcast. Today, we are talking Red Sox and the big problems that we've got here early in this season. We'll also talk about Mitch Marner and that potential deal with the Boston Bruins and why insiders think that as a real possibility of happening and how it can really elevate the Bruins right away. And we will talk with Zach about why Pat Riley is not a top 5 coach in NBA history. And Zach is going to need to convince me, because as much as I am a Pat Riley hater because he's an all-time Celtics hater, I think he's probably in the top 5 NBA championships. But Zach has his reasons, so we will do that later on in the show as well. All that and more coming up on this episode of The Cam Show on this lovely Friday, April the 11th. But I start with the Red Sox. Okay, so the Red Sox got the win yesterday against Toronto. But it's still not good. This has not been good for the Red Sox. Losing 3 out of 4 at home to a team that should be finishing in last place in this division in the Toronto Blue Jays, the team that had absolutely no hope going into this season. They just take 3 out of 4 from you like that. You end up scoring, 8 runs in the series? 8 runs in 4 games after 18 in one night? The other night against St. Louis? There's not going to be any St. Louis Cardinals in this division. And this team, I know it's early on. I know pitching is there before hitting. And this is going to be a good lineup because it better be. You can't go 4 games like that in a division series and expect to be a playoff baseball team. You can't go 4 games and score 8 runs. By the way, with 2 of them going to extra innings, you get spotted 3 extra innings in the series to get to 8 freaking runs. And it's amazing. I come on here, I'm ready to rant. Trevor Story technically has the walk-off hit yesterday, like the worst hitter on the team. Trevor Story. I mean, I say technically, he does get it. It looks like a line drive in the box score, but it was a fucking squibber to the infield pulled in, and a Platinum Glover really commits an error. He bobbles it and then throws to first for some reason with the bases loaded. He technically gets the winning hit, the walk-off hit, but that was another just terrible performance. And you really have to start questioning the approach of these guys at the plate. Because again, pitching comes first. Hitting, it takes a little bit into the season. But we're 15 games into the season, and they still just have this innate ability to not put the ball in play. This is what I said after the Texas series to open the season. I said, look, it's early. This is not, the wheels are not falling off the thing, but can they just put the ball in play? And they still have not been able to do it outside of 2 games against the St. Louis Cardinals, who stink. Like, this is what I'm talking about. It's like it's illegal for them to get a runner home when they're in scoring position in less than 2 outs. It's a clinic. And you know what it makes me think of? In spring training, when Jim Rice is being asked by a Red Sox player, hey, can you give me some tips here? What would your approach be? And the staff's like breaking it up. They're fucking prying these guys apart, yelling at the Hall of Famer Jim Rice. Don't tell him that. That's not part of our approach. All we can think now is that Jim Rice said, hey, how about you hit the ball out of the fucking infield? And the Red Sox staff's like, no, don't tell him that. That's not part of our approach. Leading the league in strikeouts. 24 going into this game yesterday in the series. So what, like 33 in 4 games? Yeah, God forbid Jim Rice, the Hall of Famer, gives them some hitting tips. Well, that's not part of our approach. We're about not putting the ball in play. Trevor Story, Tristan Casas, Ceddanne Rafaela. Lord have mercy. That kid fucking sucks. I'm about had enough with Ceddanne Rafaela of this year. You know, Maz is tweeting out there, oh, can Roman Anthony play first base? I'll tell you what, he can play outfield. Put Duran in center again and have Ceddanne Rafaela sit his ass on the bench. Good thing that was not a big contract in terms of length, but not for money. Mookie Betts. Next Mookie Betts, Ceddanne Rafaela. He will be lucky to be Jackie Bradley Jr., which would be another gigantic waste of time. I mean, the guy can't, I don't even know if he can put a full swing out there. Every time I look, he's just 75%. Strike three. Just could not hit the broadside of a barn right now. And Triston Casas, not much better. Rafi Devers starts 0 for 21. The guy's hitting 270 now. And what's Triston Casas' excuse for hitting 130? I mean, it's coincidental, but it feels ironic that watching the Clubhouse on Netflix this week, you know, he's talking about how it's a struggle, 162, and Cora's saying, you know, we love Triston. You do all this weird stuff, you know, the painting your fingernails and the sunbathing out in the outfield and doing all that shit. And if you can't hit, they're going to get on you about it. Can't hit. So, yeah, we are going to get on him about it because every time he goes up there and can't put the ball in play, batting cleanup, you know what we're going to be thinking about? The painting of the fingernails, the sunbathing in the outfield before the games, the sitting down behind the little cage in batting practice at first base. Or we're also going to be thinking about him saying to the media who he thinks should be on the team and who should not and what position they should be playing. That's what we're going to be thinking about, Triston, when you're hitting 130. Pick it up. Like that 4-5 combination of Triston Casas and Trevor Story, that's not scaring anybody. Anybody. That's one of the worst 4-5 combinations in the entire league right now. It's embarrassing to see those guys at that point, at that part of the lineup. And I'm telling you, like, every time the Red Sox cannot advance a runner, someone gets cancer. I think that's scientifically proven. And the 10th inning should prove that. Or excuse me, the 9th into the 10th. It was the bottom of the 9th for the Red Sox. It was the 10th for the Blue Jays. Because that was such a microcosm of where they're at right now. Because in the bottom of the 9th, the Red Sox actually get Trevor Story on base, and he steals second. Nobody out. And they can't even get him to third. The Blue Jays start off the 10th with a double. They get a productive out to get that guy to third base. And then they get a sacrifice fly for him to score. So they don't even get a hit after getting the leadoff guy to second, but they score a run. I'm a Red Sox fan. I thought that was illegal. I didn't know that was possible in baseball because of this team's outright refusal to do it. And then you'll say, Cam, why are you bitching? Then they scored in the bottom of the 10th. Yeah, because the pitcher pissed all over himself. He hits 2 batters in a row. He hits Bregman, who can't hit with guys on base. And then he hits Casas for some reason. I'll give Casas all the credit in the world here. He didn't try to back out of the way there. He knew what his role was. He knew how cold he was. He lets that one hit him right in the knee. Good on you. That's what my coaches told me to do in Little League. And then again, a squibber to the second baseman when the infield is in. That should have been an inning-ending double play. Instead, it's a walk-off hit, and that's what people will remember. I'm sorry, which of the 8 runs in these 4 games was your favorite? Which of the 8 runs in these 39 innings was your favorite? Because I don't know what's worse. The fact that this is supposed to be a last place team in the Toronto Blue Jays and that the rotation looks that good, or that the Red Sox made them look that good. You can't have 4-game stretches like that. I know it's April 11th, but you can't have stretches like that. We're not going to learn more about this team in the next 2 weeks because 7 of their next 11 are against a double-A team, not a triple-A team, a double-A minor league team called the Chicago White Sox. Boy, aren't you bummed that you get both those series out of the way in April? Would love to have that when you're on a skid in July or August. Love to have that soft landing spot. Not going to have it. They won. They're 7-8 going into Chicago, but there are holes in this lineup. There are, and this is going to be a good offensive team, but there are serious holes. Like Trevor Story can't hit fastballs, and he's hitting 5th for you. Triston Casas, I don't know. I don't know when he wakes up. The guy missed almost the whole year last year. And that leads to kind of my ultimate point to round this thing out. is so far 15 games in, I don't know if there's improvement yet offensively or defensively. I mean, a pitching I know is improved because you have Garrett Crochet. That's an improvement. But, Tristan Casas missed most of the year last year. You rely on him big time this year. He's not playing yet. He's not hitting yet. You need Ceddanne Rafaela to become a more selective hitter. Maybe he's been more selective, but he's not getting on base. He's still hitting into outs. You gave up a ton of outs on the base paths last year. Doing it again now. Is your defense any better? I don't think so. Love Christian Campbell. Love what he's going to give you. But when he's playing the outfield, he throws like a second baseman. Or Trevor Story giving up a run in the infield as a Gold Glover because he's 2 feet away from the second base bag trying to turn a double play and he tries to flip one. I don't know if they've gotten any better here. I don't know if their IQ is any better. That's what bugs me. I don't know if they're an improved team yet outside of Garrett Crochet. That's it. Bregman, you think that's going to fill a role? Sure. Right-handed hitter in the middle of your order with some pop. Tyler O'Neill hit 30 homers last year. So Bregman's got to be better than he was in 2024 in order for that to be an improvement. I hope he is. But there's still some serious question marks around this team 15 games into the season. It's a long year, but you cannot be having 4-game stretches like that. You were very lucky to win this game in the getaway game to avoid your first 4-game sweep at home to Toronto in 35 years. A Toronto team that should be in last place. There are no St. Louis Cardinals in this division. None. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you worried about this team yet? Let me know in the comments section. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are here live on YouTube 5 days a week talking Boston sports and then available wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the other videos on the channel to get all our Boston sports commentary. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air. Coming up, there's one guy out there in free agency that the Bruins can get that can immediately make them a playoff team. Why they need to go all in for Mitch Marner next on The Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels, our rebounders improve accuracy, control, and technique in both sports. Built with premium materials for durability and ease of use, they're ideal for training anywhere, anytime. Whether you're perfecting your soccer game or sharpening your lacrosse skills, Open Goal USA has you covered. Visit OpenGoAAALusa.com and elevate your training today.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Introducing Muck Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. Developed by our mad developer Alex and tested by riders, our products are made by riders for riders. Discover more at us.muc-off.com, where we break the mold to bring you the best in bike care.
Visit roguemediamusic.com for more music.
Are you ready to take control of your health? At 4U Health, we believe wellness and lab testing should be accessible, inclusive, and yes, fun. With our tech-powered at-home lab test, you save time and money while feeling your best. Say goodbye to long waits and office visits. Check your health on your own terms with 4U Health. Visit 4uhealth.com today and free yourself from traditional medicine. That's the number 4uhealth.com.
And now, back to our show.
Mitch Marner. I would do anything to see him in a Bruins uniform. Guy's going to become a free agent this summer. Don't know where the talks are at with Toronto. Nothing, no extension yet. They probably have the cap space to do so, but this is the dude who's going to be the first one to get the big bag with the expanded salary cap. Like, I guess Rantanen a little bit as well. You only got 12. Marner's going to get $14 million a year on the open market. The Bruins have $27 million in cap space. They need a playmaker. The Bruins need to stop being in the sense of, we need this big defenseman. We need this center. You need production. You need goals. You need wins. And those come with Mitch Marner. Much maligned by the Boston fan base, of course, because he's been playing with Toronto. The playoff numbers aren't up there, although one year he had a pretty good year. But this is a 100-point guy in Mitch Marner. And the Bruins could absolutely 1,000% use this guy. And I know there are still Bruins fans, probably some who watch this video, who say, no, Mitch Marner, what are you kidding me? That soft ass, that candy ass from Toronto? Yeah. One of the best two-way forwards in the entire league. One of the best playmaking wingers in the league. One of the best playmaking wingers in the league this decade. Mitch Marner, that guy. I would do anything for him to be on the Bruins. He's going to get to 100 points, probably in their next game. He's already got 72 assists this year and 97 points. And is still one of the best defensive forwards in the league year in, year out. He's going to turn 28 in early May. So by the time he's a free agent, he will still be in his prime at 28 years old. If I'm the Boston Bruins, I'm giving that guy a bag. And I'm not the only one thinking that, because there's a new story that kind of sparks this. This is from NHL Trade Rumors. And here's what it says. The inside scoop. The Bruins aren't just interested. They're all in. We're talking a potential $14 million AAV mega deal to steal Marner from Toronto. This isn't just about adding talent. It's about sending a thunderous message. The Bruins are back, and they're coming for the cup. There's obviously more than one move that needs to be made for the Bruins to be sending that kind of message, to be saying we're contenders again. But the biggest one that any team in the league can make this summer is to go out and get Mitch Marner. And I don't think it's that crazy. You know, obviously, Toronto's got the space to re-sign him, and I'm sure he's somewhere high up on the priority list, but I don't know that he's number one. And he has been dangled in trades by Toronto before, at least two that we know of, that two times they tried to trade him. And so I don't know how the relationship is between Mitch Marner and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I know that the Bruins really need a center. They need a franchise center. But again, taking it back a step, what they need is creativity. They need offense. They need playmaking. That's Mitch Marner. And they want a guy who plays the 200-foot game. They want to make everyone a Patrice Bergeron. Those don't grow on trees. But you want a guy who has the offensive creativity of Patrice Bergeron and then some, and a guy who finishes in the top 10 or 15 in Selke voting every year? That's Mitch Marner. I don't give a shit what position he plays. The dude produces, and he makes his team better. And of course, you know, there'll be people who say, well, yeah, he's playing on the same line as Auston Matthews. Well, in Boston, he'd be playing on the same line as David Pastrnak. They'd be the two wingers on that first line. I don't think either one of them cares what side you put him on. David Pastrnak's having a better year than Auston Matthews is. He's just as gifted a goal scorer as Auston Matthews is. As much as we put Matthews on that pedestal, right below Connor McDavid, the stuff that David Pastrnak is doing this year with this team is incredible. Adding Mitch Marner to that would get you back into playoff conversation, even with a ton of holes still on your team. So to those Bruins fans who think he's just some soft candy ass that you would never want on your team, can you check the stats for me, please? Because there is no good excuse for not wanting Mitch Marner on your team. Whether they can make it work out, that's another thing. But there's no excuse to not want him on this team. And you just look as recently as the other night against Tampa. Absolute playoff-style game in Tampa. Two teams at the top of the Atlantic Division. Toronto coming off a bad game against Florida. They blitzed Tampa 2 goals in the first 3.5 minutes. Marner scores the first one, a really slick feed to set up the second one. He sets up another assist later and has a part to play in the game-winning goal. 3 points in what was one of the biggest games of the season. That was a playoff game, essentially. And he gave you 3 points in this. This kid is an absolute stud. An absolute stud. A guy who probably isn't talked about as much as he should be. I don't know about Toronto, but maybe here in the States, because he plays on the same line as Austin Matthews. But I think this kid's really like a top 10 forward in the league. I think he's still undervalued, and he's going to get $14 million, whether it's from the Bruins or the Leafs or whomever. But that would be a clear sign of intent from Don Sweeney, and it's a way to probably, I would say, save his job. The article goes on to say, and if Marner slips away, plan B is just as explosive. Brock Besser, Nikolai Ehlers, or even a reunion with Brad Marchand, if the cap gods allow. One way or another, Boston is hunting for a game changer. So I have to disagree on this. Plan B is not just as explosive. Nikolai Ehlers, nice player. Like him. Wouldn't mind if the Bruins got him. Brock Besser, lean year and a half here, but still a pretty good player. Brad Marchand, not even close. None of those guys are in the same tier as Mitch Marner and his 200-foot game and his offensive creativity. We're talking about a guy who is right around 100 points every year, and he's going to get to it this year. Like, you look at the guys that he is compared to, just statistical analysis, who he's compared to. Peter Stastny, Ilya Kovalchuk, Peter Forsberg, Luc Robitaille, Marcel Dion, 700 goal scorer, Marcel Dion, Sebastian Aho, Braden Point, Kyle Connor, Sasha Barkov, Cam Neely, Jake Gensel, Mikko Rantanen. Let me know when you hear a guy that you wouldn't take on the Bruins. Just stop me when you're like, no, I wouldn't take him on this Bruins team. The current guys, Aho, Point, Connor, Barkov, Gensel. I'd take any one of those guys on the Bruins. I'd give any one of them north of $10 million. So, yeah, I would take Mitch Marner in a heartbeat, man. An absolute heartbeat. Now, I know he hasn't gotten to 100 points yet, but look at this. You know, it's 97, 99, 85 in only 69 games last year, and 97 in 77 games this year. Oh, but he won't be playing with Austin Matthews. You're right. He'll be playing with a better goal scorer right now, David Pastrnak. A better offensive player in David Pastrnak. And at that point, put whomever the hell you want at center. You can put Elias Lindholm out there to make you feel better about yourself, to help Don Sweeney sleep better at night and say, well, at least he turned into a number one center because I have two of the best playmaking wingers in the league. That would instantly boost the Bruins next year. And we know for a good, more than half of this season, the Bruins were either in the playoff picture, like statistically, or right there. So, yeah, they're going to finish maybe in the basement or second worst in the East. But we know that's probably not exactly what they are for a full 82-game stretch. They sold it. They had an absolute yard sale at the trade deadline. Charlie McAvoy's out the last 2 months of the season. If you add, bring McAvoy back and add someone like Mitch Marner to this team, I'm not saying you're in the playoffs, but you're right there. It'd be tough to have two of the best playmaking wingers in the league and not be there. And I'm interested to see how the Bruins do approach this July, really. $27 million in cap space with the new CBA. They need to be aggressive, but they have plenty of holes to fill. This Fraser Minton kid looks good. I think he'll probably be with the big club next year. Matt Poitras needs to have a big year. But the biggest need that you can identify in free agency, is probably extend Morgan Geekie, who should, as Matt Barry said on the show yesterday, I totally agree with, should probably give half his salary to David Pastrnak. He's not going to be very useful if he's not playing with a guy like Pastrnak or Marner. And then go out and get Mitch Marner. Put all the all the Toronto hate to the side, because trust me, I still love trolling Toronto. And if Mitch Marner is a bad postseason and they go out in the first round, I will still troll Toronto. But it's not going to change how much I want the kid, man. This kid's so good, like so good, and so much better than anything the Bruins have right now outside of David Pastrnak. It's not even close, man. And maybe Captain Nikita Zadorov will whip him into shape when it comes to playoff time. But I would take Mitch Marner in a Bruins jersey in a second. Like, no questions asked. Bring me Mitch Marner. Please, please, please. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. About 90% of you watching are not subscribed to the channel. Give us that subscribe, because we're giving you nothing but Boston sports content 5 days a week. We're live on YouTube every weekday at high noon Eastern time, and then available wherever you get your podcast. Zach Burke keeps us on the air. I'm Cam Stewart, your host. Check out the other videos on the YouTube channel. Again, give us the like, give us the subscription, and we will deliver the Boston sports news for you. Tell me what you think about Mitch Marner in the comments below. Coming up on the Cam Show, we're going to bring Zach in here. We're going to rope him in, and he's going to tell us why Pat Riley is not a top 5 coach in NBA history. That is coming up next on the Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner.
Since 2003, Bluehost has been empowering people to harness their brands online with innovative web hosting solutions. Trusted by over 2 million users, we're the longest-running WordPress.org recommended host. With Bluehost, you get a safer, better web experience, supported by the world's most popular site builder, and backed by our commitment to open source projects. Visit Bluehost.com today and take your website to the next level.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress. It's like a wearable hug for your nervous system that helps you calm down and feel better. The Apollo wearable will send gentle vibrations to your body, like a song you can feel instead of hear. You feel better, you sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
And now, back to our show.
Back here on the Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network, live on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Zach, this has been burning through Zach all week. Okay. And when he brought this idea to me, I was like, I'm ready to do this. I'm here for it. I might not even totally agree with Zach here, but I don't like this person. Zach came to me the other day, actually was on the show, you probably saw it, that he doesn't like Pat Riley, doesn't like him, and doesn't like the kind of status that Pat Riley has in the pantheon of all-time great NBA coaches. Is that fair to say, Zach? Is that a fair representation?
Yes. Not that. Well, I will say the caveat before we get into all this, before anybody comments. I understand that Pat Riley knows so much about basketball, knows more than I will ever hope to know about it. I completely get that. But my argument is let's take this aside and let's view him as the basketball genius everybody thinks he is. Like let's look at him already in that high air that everybody already has him with, is what I'm pointing. Like I'm coming to you on a level of, yeah, Pat Riley knows a little bit about basketball. Okay. I'm not going to argue that.
Can we do the resume here real quick before we get into your argument? So coached for 24 years. Okay. .636 winning percentage as a head coach, 5 NBA championships, NBA Coach of the Year 3 times, and in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Still has a huge hand in running the Heat. He was the top executive for 2 championships as well for Miami, on top of being the head coach in 2006 when they won their first one. So that is a couple other things here. So yeah, 3-time Coach of the Year. That's tied for the record, by the way. Don Nelson and Greg Popovich also have 3 different franchises that he won NBA Coach of the Year. I think that's true. Impressive.
It is
5th in the all-time wins list in the regular season and 2nd in playoff wins all time, 171. And for whatever this is worth, it's head coach of the NBA All-Star Game 9 times.
9 times, yeah. Not 8.
Don't really care much about that. 7th highest winning percentage of regular season history. So there you go. That's the resume for Pat Riley in a bunch of Italian suits.
Yes.
And portrayed by 2-time Best Actor winner Adrian Brody.
Yeah. Do you think Brody wore Armani in Winning Time like Riley does, or do you think that it was probably just something to look like it? Do you think?
Well, I imagine that wasn't much of an issue.
Yeah,
I imagine that wasn't much of an issue. It's probably like, I got some at home.
It's funny and not related to, well, it related to it, but it just made me think of this. So a lot of this what made me think of this was I'm rereading Chris Herring's book, Blood in the Garden, which is about the 90s Knicks. And so the good first 2/3 of that book, Pat Riley is a part of, because he eventually leaves when the Heat gets sold, and it's like 95, I think, is when he goes to Miami. And we'll get into some of that part when I talk about Riley. But so I'm focusing on, well, I guess let's start from the beginning here with all this, of where it comes from me with Pat Riley. I've read multiple books by 2 different authors now too. Jeff Pearlman has the one about the Showtime Lakers that they turned into Winning Time, and then this Chris Herring book too. When I first think of Pat Riley, I think of the guy who was a play-by-play announcer, who they have an accident to their head coach, and Jack McKinney can't coach anymore, and so they put Paul Westhead then as coach, and they need an assistant. Oh, well, Pat's been around here. Not saying that Pat didn't want to coach maybe at some point in time, but Pat's been around here. Pat's been working with Chick. He knows the players. Well, yeah, we'll let him run as an assistant.
Played for Adolph Rupp too.
Yep, sure he did. His number 42 is retired at Kentucky.
Yeah,
I want to take that away from him.
Didn't win a national championship.
Yeah. But and so then, using the offense that they had, the Showtime Lakers are known pretty much for the offense that Jack McKinney installed. They tweak it a bit there as it goes, but to me, I always look at it as that's McKinney's offense. Sure, Riley, because Westhead wanted to change. If you've read the book or if you've watched the show, after they win the title that first year as assistant, Westhead gets in his head that he's this, he can make the offense better. So it's all these changes that they want to do, and they want to pass so much more, and they want the offense ran through Kareem, and the rest of the team doesn't like it. They kind of turn on Westhead, and Riley ends up taking over the role as coach. And I think he knew better how to run the offense that McKinney had set up. And I think that he used that system then to make the Lakers phenomenal during the 80s. I cannot argue that, but I'm going to argue, this is where my argument turns, is it's from the start of the 90s. I will not argue anything Pat did in the 80s, because it's him becoming a coach, and it's him learning under, I don't think it was his full idea that he put in, but it was him learning how to make McKinney's style work, and he had the players and stuff to do it. And so he was successful with it. I want to pick up when we moved to New York. Okay. So you can take at Pat Riley, and even just all the stories about him. He's a coach of a different breed, of a different era to me. Very much so the same way that Bobby Knight was in college basketball. He fits in that. He's notorious for having, all these hard practices, of wanting to make his players puke, of just being, demanding the most out of them. I get that. After a while, though, some of it to me, and maybe it's where I am in life, it becomes a little more like cheesy in a way, of just like, yeah, I get that you can't win all 82 games, but you can want to win all 82 games. Yeah, sure. That's great. But dunking your head in an ice, bucket in front of your players until one of the assistant pulls you out, so you can sit there and demonstrate to them how badly they need to want to breathe. It's very much, it feels like somebody who just, it was, I don't want to say gimmicky, but
yeah, like corny. Yeah,
exactly.
It's
exactly.
very,
it's very much that.
Look at me. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I always think of when I think of Pat Riley, is after he left the Lakers, and reading this Knicks book, is there's more so of he, I think, believed the hype that was Pat Riley. I think you can look at it when he, what do you call it? When he trademarked three-peat, when he was there with the Lakers.
Yeah.
You can tell it with the things that he asked for while he was at New York, or some of the things that he said to his assistants. There's a quote in the book that just kind of, I think it was Bob Salmi, who was one of his assistants there with the Knicks. When he showed up, Salmi was talking to him about, oh yeah, I know in the offseason, like I love to go golfing. Pat Riley hated that. Told him, if I knew that you loved to golf, I might have thought different about making you an assistant. What the fuck does that mean, Pat? Like it's things like that.
Is there any explanation to that?
He does, because he thinks that it's a distraction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Golf's a distraction.
And Pat, if it's okay with you in this offseason, I'm going to make love to my wife.
Nope. So, well, I told you. Ooh, no, we'll save that.
What if I hold my breath?
So there's a lot of stories like this about
Which,
Pat
by the
Riley.
way, like I'm not as a diehard Celtics guy. Like I'm not, hugely sympathetic to Pat Riley. I think he embodies a lot of the other side of that rivalry, right? Like the Celtics were gritty, and Larry Bird you couldn't really jump very high. And Casey Jones was this old kind of grizzled old pro, and here's Pat Riley on the other side with the slicked back hair and the Armani suits, the designer suits with the celebrities in the stands and Magic and Showtime. Like Pat Riley plays right into that, and
for sure
is one of, if not the greatest all-time Celtics hater.
Oh yeah. Well, they talk about it too, and just to kind of show that showmanship. When the Heat come to the Garden for his first game back after leaving the Knicks as coach, like he gets booed by the Garden, and he's in the center just like waving them on for like more boos. Like he plays into that role kind of. And so, yeah, you're right. Like he was like he fit that slick back hair, smooth suit. I love the Jeannie Buss. It was on Julian Edelman's podcast. I heard him tell the story, but she has the quote of like, we used to call him Riles all the time around, and that's still his nickname, I think too. But she was like, in the offices. And then one day he stopped me and he was like, no, I think it's Coach now. You can call me Coach. And she was like, and that's when he started slicking back his hair. And,
I'll give it this, like the Showtime show, the Winning Time, I think it was what it's called.
Yeah.
It couldn't be, this is HBO, so it couldn't be Showtime.
Yeah.
Like they got almost all of it wrong. But in terms of character people, but I think Pat Riley, from all that I've read, is pretty accurate in that, in terms of, Paul Westhead was kind of this meek Shakespeare guy, probably not nearly as meek as what they made him out to be, but Pat Riley steps in and it's a flip of the switch. It's like what we hear with the difference between Brian Bosworth and the Boz, right?
Yes.
Like he becomes this character and it never goes away. Not really. And, I mean, it's a little different now because he's been in the front office for so long. You just don't see him as much. No. But that the Pat Riley that was before was never to be seen again. Like this is an absolute character that comes to the forefront after that.
It's very much so like a wrestler in a way of you play that character so much, you turn into him. And it's just all these stories in the book. Like some of it wasn't even, like he has the stats. I can't argue with the wins and the numbers.
So do you think? Let's ask this. Do you think he's overrated, or you just hate him?
That's where I'm going to get to.
Okay.
So it starts the over.
10 minutes in it, we're going to get into the overrated part.
Yeah, there we go. Well, we had to get to it. I can't discredit anything that he did with the Lakers. That's the point I'm not going to argue. But the 80s, he became the coach that he was, and he has been riding on that ever since. And that is where I will argue it, because the years. Top Knicks teams, he was able to build that team however he wanted. He was very much defense first, physical, like, to
say the least.
Did it after, they did it very much after like those Pistons teams that beat Jordan. Like that was the model for those Knicks teams. And he loved being tougher than everybody else. And he loved just like, those corny stories I told. I think I told one once of he paid an assistant coach to go buy baseball cleats from a sporting good place across the street so he could slide in like 45 minutes before the game started, telling how they needed to always slide cleats up. Like it's just, he turns into a caricature of himself at some point in time. And he doesn't win another title until 2006, where everybody praises him again. Oh, the great Pat Riley, where it's another situation of where he has stars there for him. He has the 06 one. That's Shaq.
He drafted Dwayne Wade. They went out and got
Dwayne
Shaq.
Wade. but they move all the things. Well, that's another guy too. I think that Shaq will tell you, having played for a guy like Phil Jackson and hearing quotes himself, that Phil Jackson's style works better than Pat Riley's does. Like you hear.
Yeah, I mean, Phil Jackson wins 10 titles, right? 10. So that's it's tough to argue.
I don't know. It's like, well, we sit there and we talk about Pat and you go on, but like people fail to remember sometimes, like the last 2 years, 2001 to 02, 02, 03, he had losing records as the coach of the Heat. And then he was ousted and then came back for just those 3 years. And then he was gone again because he went 15-67. Like, yeah,
look, it happens.
It happens to all of them.
Carr, Pat Riley, 15-67.
It always just feels like it's that like, oh, this is going to be bad. No, never mind. My legacy is where I need it to be. Now I can just stay from the background here and I can just live on everything else. And everybody will remember what Pat Riley was.
Yeah. You're making me stand up for Pat Riley a little bit. I don't like this, Zach. Because, yes, that's true. But they are still, not this year, notwithstanding really much, but they've made the finals twice in the last few years as a team that he's put together. And I think the fact that he did it on 3 teams is pretty impressive. What did he get the Knicks to? The conference finals, right?
No, he got him to the finals.
Okay, he was the coach in the finals. Okay,
yep, they lost to Houston.
I didn't know if he was the coach still. So you've got 3 different teams that go to the finals. 2 of them win championships, and the style's way different, right? Showtime in the 80s. He's kind of going with the times of the NBA, because the 90s becomes a rock fight, just like super defensive, ugly, gross. And the team that could muck it up, maybe better than anybody else, didn't translate to championships, but the team that could really muck it up was the Knicks, was Pat Riley's Knicks. And then he kind of embraces the star system with the Heat. And then he makes a pretty bold move by going with this young kid, Eric Spoelstra, because he's an analytical coach. And he keeps him on, even knowing how big the personalities are going to be with the big 3. And you remember this, especially like that Dallas series in 2011. Like, people did not like Eric Spoelstra. They were like, this guy. It was almost like what they did with Ty Lue back in the day with LeBron in Cleveland. Was like, this guy can't keep up with the big egos here. It was like what you saw with Paul Westhead. But here's Spoelstra, one of, if not the best coach in the league, still all these years later. So I have to give Pat Riley some credit for how, his hairstyle is not molded, but the play style definitely has.
Well, then let me ask you this. So you're right. Like, I can't argue with that there with the Knicks. In the 4 years that he was there, I know for sure Game 7 once where they lost to the Bulls, lost to the Rockets in the finals. They lost to the Bulls, or they lost to the Pacers one. I don't know if that was I think that was
95 second round. That was a Game 7 where Ewing misses the layup.
Yes, it's the one where like it's the series where Miller scores 9 points in 8 seconds or 8, whatever it is.
8.9, something like that.
Yeah, so like he did that, but at the same time, so that he never won a title. You have Eastern Conference appearance.
But who can with the Knicks?
Finals. Okay, that's fine, but still, what if I look at somebody then in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? I'm going to give you the last 6 years of this coach, who I'm not going to tell you, and what they did.
This is good.
Lost in conference semifinals, lost in conference finals, lost in conference semifinals, lost in the first round, won an NBA title, lost in the conference semifinals. Is anybody going to tell you that Mike Malone is as good a coach as Pat Riley?
They're not. The Nuggets certainly aren't going to tell you that.
No, they just fired him 3 years removed from a title. But if I go off that, and in that year, the worst win, he had 2 losing years when he started the playoffs. But in those seasons, he won at least 46 games in all of them. But we're not.
He's the best coach in Nuggets history. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying, like, why don't we do the same thing there if we're going to do it with Riley? Like, I get some of it was the NBA is different. And this is where we kind of got into of looking at the 15 greatest coaches, is that the NBA more so than other leagues, like that list is filled with some people where you're like, that kind of seems like a fringe guy. So
yeah, I would also say Riley won 4 other championships. Like Mike Malone won 1, and that's great, but Pat Riley did win 5.
Okay. You're right. I can't argue that.
I think your argument here, if I'm reading this correctly, is that he's just not like a top 3 or 5 coach in the history of the league.
Okay, my argument is that yes, that is part.
Because sometimes I get bogged down into this where I start getting on this tirade that makes him sound like he's ass, and all I'm saying is that he's not.
Yeah, no. I'm not even saying he's. I'm saying that there's 2 Pat Rileys. You have Lakers Pat Riley, which is a phenomenal coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Pat Riley after that, which is just everybody thinking he's still the amazing same head coach.
Who are we putting ahead of him definitively?
Okay. Definitively, here, I'm going to go through this list of 15 because I know I can put people in front of him from the NBA. This is from the NBA. So
Mike Malone first.
Mike Malone. In the past. Yeah, no.
You don't even need to order these. Just people you're putting ahead of Pat Riley.
I'm going to put Red on there.
All right. You're starting with number one. Good call.
I think that's a foregone conclusion.
Yep.
I think I'm going to put Phil Jackson on there, obviously.
Okay, I would too. He did fail at his third stop, and Pat Riley didn't. But yes, I would put Phil Jackson up there. 10 championships.
Yeah, but he failed at his third stop.
Yeah, the Knicks.
Oh, yeah, but Pat failed at his second stop, and Phil didn't. So they just switched where they
failed, but he did get the Knicks to the finals, though.
No.
To me, that's not a failure.
Yeah, but, I mean, Phil won, 5 titles with the Lakers? I think just a couple bad seasons with the Knicks you can let go.
I mean, I am.
I guess, and I realize in saying that I'm making the same argument kind of for Pat.
Yes.
Coming around to it.
Yes.
See, and this is where it gets tough because we're talking about the list. I'd put Popovich in front of Pat Riley.
I would too. I don't think you should get knocked for only having success at one place if it's that much
Nope.
success. People will say the same about Belichick.
And
I don't care how bad the last couple of years have been, by the way. Same thing like Belichick. I don't care that he's stunk the last couple of years. They won 5 titles in San Antonio. In a time where it's the star system and you need to get super teams together, he did it in San Antonio. So yeah, I'm putting Popovich up there too.
I think I might have Riley at number 5, but I'm trying to think if it's 5, then who's ahead of him at 4?
All right. Well, how about I drill you here? How about I drill you here? Because we've got the 15. All right. So let's just yes, no. Is this guy better than?
I'll add one more.
Okay.
And then you can go through the rest of them. Chuck Daly's 4.
Really? Chuck Daly better than Pat Riley?
No, I can't do that. You're right. Okay, just throw him out to me. So no to
that was going to be the first one I threw out.
Oh,
because I could not.
No, after you said that,
Chuck's a great coach.
It is, and he has the dream team and the 2 titles. And I mean, his winning percentage.
Can we even count that he coached the dream team? How much coaching did he do?
Okay, fine. He was the coach of the dream team. Is that better? That team did kind of wake up basketball.
He took role on the dream team.
If you listen to Coach K, he's the mastermind behind the scrimmage that led all those college kids to beating the dream team.
The best thing he ever did.
So maybe we're not giving Chuck Daly his credit. And
all right, I'm gonna run off some names here.
Okay,
Chuck Daly, I'm not giving you that.
No, who almost another tidbit almost was the coach to fill in for Riley afterwards, but then he saw how the media treated Riley and decided not to take the job.
Larry Brown.
No.
Good career, not Pat Riley.
Yeah.
Red Holtzman.
See, that's a tough one. No.
Casey Jones.
How many titles did Casey wind up with?
2.
Just the 2? Oh, but he won a shit ton of games. Oh, no.
No. I'm also saying no. Love KC, but no. Steve Kerr.
That's a tough one to me. That's a really tough one to me. Yes.
I could make that argument. I could make that. I hate using this excuse, so please don't take this as the number one part of it, because you know how everyone said last year, the Celtics had the easiest road. And I put no, because the Lakers did every year in the West in the 80s. They were still good enough to win championships, and they were still a great dynasty. Mm-hmm. But Steve Kerr had a tougher conference to win, and Steve Kerr revolutionized the game. Mm-hmm. More than maybe any other coach. And really it's Steph Curry, right? And Klay Thompson. But Steve Kerr is the one who kind of puts it together and says, you know what? Screw it. 3s are better than 2s. And the game will never be the same again.
He was, there's going to be another coach you get to that I'm going to have a hard time arguing with, just like Steve Kerr, just because of how he innovated the game too. And I'll wait till we get to him.
Okay.
But you're right. But also something else Steve Kerr did is he had the 5 straight finals appearances too on those.
Pretty incredible.
I think it's the second longest streak.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll look back at that as like a great era of the NBA because of how little parity there was. But 5 straight finals is 5 straight finals.
Also 73-9. So
yeah, I could make. To me, those guys are right there. I could make the argument for Steve Kerr. Lenny Wilkins.
No.
Don Nelson, the other
That's
guy who won three
that's
different
the other one
NBA
that
titles.
I could
Or
argue a little bit.
three different Coach of the Year awards, 3 different teams.
Just because of
Celtic great.
well, the innovation he had there as a coach, like that's part of what leads me to go with Donnie too, of like having a point forward. Like back in the 90s, he took over for Pat after Pat was fired, and he lasted I think he got fired in February. He couldn't make it through the entire season. Tommy Hilfiger, who was responsible for his suits, had to come back and measure him 3 different times because he was eating his way through the stress of the job.
Love that.
And yeah, but he was still trying there of like to run the offense through Anthony Mason and even letting Patrick Ewing like bring the ball up court. He was always very innovative in a way of that is where basketball is now. And also a savant in a way. So like, I think that just off of, while Pat Riley knows a lot about basketball, Don Nelson might be a better innovator and saw where the game was going and could create there. And so that's why it's tough for me there too. But I think I'm going to give, shit. Go ahead.
I was going to say, before we get to the other names, I want to ask about innovation wise, because that does play a part in what you do, like a top 4 or 5 list.
Mm-hmm.
How influential / innovative was Phil Jackson
with the triangle? I don't. Yeah,
the triangle was great.
It was.
It worked.
But
has it worked since then?
No.
Has anyone with any kind of championships employed that since then?
No.
Here's
the thing too, that some of it comes down to, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds here because this is a completely different argument.
Yeah.
It's so as though that like you have to look at the personnel on the team too. And then it's, like having Shaq on those on those Lakers teams, nobody was going to be able to stop him. Nobody.
Right.
So running the triangle and being able to have him post up, you're not stopping Shaq. So that's why it worked. There's not a big like that now. So it kind of went out. And I think then some of the argument you have to look at too is like, oh, look at the personnel they had. Like maybe that could be an argument for why Riley never won a title in New York, is because, yeah, he had some talent, but he didn't have all the talent. But then I think you get into the weeds too much over it. I think that Jackson with the triangle was innovative at the time and it worked for where it was. And then the game passed it by. I think that's where I feel about these coaching styles too, of like a Pat Riley, of a Bob Knight, of a, hey, yelling at my players and trying to run them until they throw up everywhere, is like, not that it's, I get what you're doing it. Like we had, I'm sure, high school coaches that still try to do that. Everybody thinks like that's how you get tougher. And I get the mentality, but some of it just feels like you buy too much into yourself and you just don't realize like what's going on around you and seeing the game grow. Like maybe the only reason Pat Riley only won one more title after he left the Lakers is because he didn't innovate that much.
Sure.
And so I think that's what, and I think that maybe that's where the argument comes in for a guy of like Don Nelson, where he still only has like the same, 3 titles. And I think 3 coaches of the year, all of those before, even one of them in Golden State, where he fucked up and ran Chris Webber out of town. So it's not like he's, perfect with their 2. I just think that innovation adds to how long you can make your career last. And Donnie Nelson was able to extend his a lot longer because of it too.
Jack Ramsey.
I'm pulling him up to like, no.
Jerry Sloan.
No, I didn't get that one. Just because, like, what? Just because he won so much, I guess. I
won a lot of games.
Like winning's cool, but he has that number is retired in Utah. The amount of wins.
Yeah, it's weird. No one's gonna wear that jersey number.
Yeah, they couldn't fit it on the back of a jersey.
Doc Rivers.
Well, look at this real quick. It says ranks 4th of all-time regular season win list. That's great. Okay, I guess 6th most victories in the playoffs. How many titles? 23 seasons as coach of the Jazz, so we had tenure there. That's cool. 15 straight playoff appearances. I mean, they're solid numbers, but it's not the same as the others. You said who was Doc Rivers?
Doc Rivers.
No.
And how about this? Of the 15 coaches, right? Yeah. Only two have hired someone else who's on the list. Red Auerbach hired Casey Jones, and Pat Riley hired Eric Spoelstra.
Mm-hmm. Is it weird to you that Spoelstra's on the list of 15?
Initially, yes. But again, when you kind of look back at NBA history, not really. Like he doesn't deserve to be in the top 5 or probably the top 10, but you've got to have a 14th and a 15th. And to me, as much as I love Doc, he's a better coach than Doc Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
I think Doc probably gets too much heat, but because he's had winning teams wherever he's gone. But yeah, this team's choking the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think Spoelstra's a little bit better. I think he's done more with less. And when you look back at it, there's just a bunch of jags. There's just a bunch of kind of nobodies. And a lot of the great minds in the NBA, especially today with a ton of parity, aren't winning multiple championships.
No.
Like everyone, I think, thinks Nick Nurse is a really good coach. They think Ty Lue is a really good coach, kind of a resurrection there. Mike Malone, Mike Budenholzer. But these guys, they don't go on and win 5 like Pat Riley did.
It's funny, we have a list of the 15 greatest there. According to, as I'm looking at the stat list, only 14 have won multiple championships. So we don't even have a top 15 that have more than 2 titles. Like that's just kind of
Doc's the only one with 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doc's the only one on that list with 1. Well, no, Larry Brown has 1.
Well, Jerry Sloan has none.
Yeah, Jerry Sloan has none. So then guys like Rudy T didn't get any love. He had 2 as a coach. Bill Russell had 2 as a coach.
Yeah, that's true. He
Tom,
had a bad time with the Supersonics.
Tom, help me out. Last name. Celtic. Heinsohn?
Oh, Tommy Heinsohn. Tommy Heinsohn.
Heinsohn.
Yes. Oh my God, I almost sounded like that woman I absolutely dragged a few weeks ago. Yes, he won 2 in the 70s. Yeah, Tommy Heinsohn. Yep.
Alex Hannon
won.
Alex Hannon won 2. Granted, this is like early's NBA. This is like, 76ers and the St. Louis Hawks. But still, like, there's coaches, if you want to go back and they're not going to – I was looking through the list. Third on the list is I'm going to mispronounce this too. I'm sorry. John Kundla? He was the coach of – I
think it is Kundla.
Kundla?
Yeah. For sure.
He won 5 with the Minneapolis Lakers back in the day.
Yep. George Mikan, baby. All right. So you've got him 5th.
I've got him.
Is that fair?
Nope. You know what? I have him 6th. That's to make this all work.
All right.
To make it work.
Put a ball
Pat
on it.
Riley is not
6.
a top 5 head coach to me. It is Phil Jackson, Red Auerbach, Greg Popovich, Donnie Nelson, Steve Kerr, Pat Riley. Kerr in front of Nelson, but that was just the 5.
That was in no particular order.
Yeah.
Because Auerbach's number 1. I think he's the most revolutionary of all red. He started employing this thing that NBA teams had not done before. It was called defense.
Yeah.
And it is kind of one last quick thing because I got to make the Celtics. Like looking back at Red Auerbach, which they didn't do a ton of in the Celtics city. They didn't talk a lot about this part, the basketball part, is like teams just like didn't play defense before that. Yeah. And Auerbach had this idea of like, yeah, where it's all going through the center, but what if I get one that disrupts shots as well as makes them at the other end? And the rest is history. Like basketball has completely changed. If we're talking about innovative coaches, it is, and how the game changed after him, it's Red Auerbach and Steve Kerr, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's the thing you can look at. The only coach on that list that I wouldn't put that innovator tag on, because it works for Phil at the time when he uses it. Because nobody else did.
It looked like it was going to be innovative.
Yeah, it was. It's Pop. Pop is the only like old school coach of that group, and he's the last of that like Riley era in a way to me, of that Chuck Daly, that Pat Riley. Greg Popovich is the last of those guys.
Well, you heard it here first. Pat Riley's 6th greatest coach in NBA history.
There you go. I stand on
Argue with a wall. Thanks, Zach. We'll keep you on here as we just wrap this up. You can catch us live at high noon Eastern time every weekday. And then wherever you get your podcast, we're talking Boston sports and slandering Pat Riley at every turn that we can. That's Zach Burke. I'm Cam Stewart, your host. We will see you Monday on a little ditty we like to call the Cam Show.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Tusains, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.